Trauma. Everyone has it. No one talks about it. It seems easier to stay silent, ignore it, or stuff it than it does to honor it, learn from it, and finally heal. Trauma is debilitating, yet so often we suffer in silence. Trauma is not meant to be battled alone, and we are no longer going to suffer in silence. Together, we are creating a safe place to speak, to share our stories and grow our strength as we heal. Together, we are giving a voice to those who have been silenced, bringing darkness into light and letting God use our stories. Today, we find ourselves again. We relight our spark and let it light up the world. Stop Sis is a nonprofit organization dedicated to educating on issues of trauma and trafficking, as well as the amazing power of the healing journey. Welcome to Stop Sis. Hey, you guys. A big welcome back to Stop Suffering in Silence. My name is Denise Walsh, and I have my partner in crime here, Rachel.
Hey guys, thanks for being here.
Is that a really good way to describe you? Jeez. Co-host. How about co-host?
Okay, that works.
Well, thank you again for all the messages on our Instagram, and we're just getting feedback, which is so motivating. We call them God winks. I think these little validations that this is a topic that people need and want to hear about. And we just say thank you to being a part of that community and commenting and sharing and letting us know your feedback and your stories as well. We have one big announcement before we move into today's topic. I'm super excited to share that we have a second 90-day U-Turn survivor cohort starting this month.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Yes. I think we have about 10 girls coming. A few graduates are coming back, but this is this is just super cool because it's word of mouth. It's people listening just like you who are opting in to the waiting list and connecting with us or messaging us and letting us know that you're interested in it too. And so, yeah, we've got a second round coming up just this week, and we'll do another 12 weeks. And it's so fun to see the shifts in even just the first few weeks of content. So I love how God is bringing the right people into our path.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So today's topic is a fascinating one. And I believe it really is appropriate for everyone, whether you've had trauma or not. It's truly an emotion that we experience. It's not a good or a bad emotion. It's just part of being human, but yet we can point our finger at it and often tell it to go away without actually even listening to what it's saying. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the emotion of anxiety. Today, we're going to talk a bit about what anxiety is, why it's helpful, how to calm it down if it's no longer being helpful, and what it's truly trying to tell us. So, Rachel, let's start with answering the question, what is anxiety?
Well, for me, it's when I can't breathe. It's a physical feeling that just all of a sudden I am in fight or flight. Nothing feels safe, normal. I'm on hyper alert. And I'm on edge waiting for something to happen that's not going to be good. I don't want to be caught off guard type feeling.
Right. So it's like,
yeah.
And then eyes open, scanning the room.
Yes.
Yeah. For me, it's heart rush, like palpitations, if that's it, like fast beating heart. My stomach gets all queasy, anxious feeling.
Yeah.
And I find myself kind of going inward when that happens. Like when I want to hide kind of.
Yeah. Isolate.
Yes. Yeah. And so we know that anxiety is one of many emotions, right? But yet it's often deemed as being negative. How is anxiety, how can it be actually helpful?
So whenever you normalize it in a sense and you give it the voice that it is trying to have within your body, then you're able to see that anxiety is there to actually protect you. I think I've heard that its main goal is to bring you comfort. It doesn't want you to step outside of comfort. And so anxiety will go full force when you are about to do something that your anxiety remembers in the past led to an uncomfortable or painful situation. And so your anxiety is there to help you. But if it is yelling at you and telling you, hey, this doesn't feel safe, and you've gotten so used to not listening to your body and pushing that down, it's only going to yell at you louder and then impact you even further versus taking a second and saying, okay, what's going on? What are you trying to tell me? And then almost having a conversation back with it and saying, hey, I'm an adult now. Like, I hear you. I know why you're scared because this did happen in the past, but now I can use my voice. I can fight back. I can tell this person to stop or whatever it may be, and remind it's almost like talking to your inner child. It's kind of, to me, it's similar. Your inner child has wisdom. Don't silence her. But also, you need to be a parent and talk to her as well and quiet her whenever she is not logical in her thinking.
Yeah. Anxiety can be a cue that you're going in the wrong direction. It can be that gut, like, okay, this isn't working. I'm going to move. I'm going to shift. I'm going to do something different. I know I start to feel anxious or restless when like, this isn't it anymore. Like, I'm not, like, I need to do something different. I need to put myself in a different relationship or work environment or that kind of thing. But if we don't listen to it, then it can just get louder and louder and louder and louder. And that's where anxiety attacks can start to happen. What do you know about anxiety attacks?
I mean, that's just when you've hit that full-blown panic mode, and it's going to be a whole lot harder to calm yourself down in a panic attack versus just simply feeling anxiety to start. But it's a red flag, like, hey, listen, or your whole body's going to deconstruct. It's how it feels.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about how to calm down if you've got anxiety or chronic anxiety, but I'd love to hear your ship and captain analogy that you shared with me the other day, because I think this is a good example of what anxiety can be, how it can be helpful.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, I still battle anxiety. And so that's why I was kind of looking up stuff on anxiety. And I listened to a TED talk by Tim Box, and he was very clear that anxiety is normal. It's a good thing. He even said psychopaths are the only ones who don't have anxiety. Oh, sorry, it's my dog. And so you want anxiety. It's a good sign. It's a healthy sign. And he used the analogy that your body is like a ship, and you're going about on the sea, and your anxiety is represented in your crew. And so whenever your crew starts to sense a storm up ahead, then they will start to talk to the captain saying, hey, something doesn't look right. We need to turn back. We need to turn to the west, the north, whatever, to get away from this storm. It doesn't look good. Well, if the captain doesn't listen to his crew, the crew's going to get louder and louder until the captain will finally listen to the crew. Now, it could be the captain knows best. Maybe the captain can see the radar and can see the storm's not as big as you think. Or on the other side of this storm is a beautiful island that we're trying to get to. It's going to be okay. And the captain can then tell the crew, hey, it's okay. We'll use the tools we have to get through this storm because there's something better on the other side. Or the captain can say, you're right. I hear you. This is not the way we want to go. And let's go in a different direction. But having a good relationship between the captain and the crew is super important.
Yeah, it's true. Our anxiety is helping. It's kind of like our inner guidance system. It's like that gut feeling. And so you can have the feeling of peace where your gut is open, or you can have that feeling of anxiety where it's tight and anxious and, your heart's racing. And so listening to that is key. But what happens if you feel anxiety and for no apparent reason. Like there's nothing happening and you don't quite know why you're experiencing anxiety.
I think that happens, shoot, it happens a lot for me. And I do believe part of it is because my body keeps the score of trauma. And so there's going to be times when I'm experiencing anxiety, but my mind doesn't know why. And for a long time, I would shame myself with that. And I still battle with getting frustrated at myself. Everything seemingly is great in my life. Why am I feeling this anxiety this morning? And I kind of consider it a kiss the wave moment because figuring it out is a moment to check in with that Holy Spirit in your heart, with the anxiety as well, and figuring out, okay, is this discernment from God that I need to be listening to? What is this discernment trying to tell me? Or is something within me trying to self-sabotage? Is there a reason to fight this struggle within me right now? And I think tapping into that Holy Spirit and really having a good communication with the captain in that way helps you know whether to push through the anxiety or, hey, this is a red flag. Let's go another direction.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is always the question. Like,
Right?
do I push through the fear and like do it anyway? Is it just I'm nervous to do something new? Or is this a gut reaction and a gut feeling that I need to listen to? And so writing it out can be really, really helpful because you can start to say, why am I feeling anxious right now? What is really going on? And write down any fear that pops up. And then you can challenge that fear. Is this true? Is this not true? Is it maybe true in the past, but it's not happening right now? We've talked about grounding as well, because oftentimes anxiety is about the future or the past. And so it's about things that are not happening right now, like I'm going to be broke and we're going to live in a van down by the river, or you're reliving a situation that also isn't happening right now. So grounding and getting yourself back into the moment. And this is where affirmations can come in, because you can remind yourself anything that can go right will go right. The Holy Spirit is always working on my behalf. Like these affirmations that we practice, so that way when we are in a moment, we can utilize them even more effectively.
That this reminds me of when we were at the campfire and you asked us girls the question, if you could do anything with, like, let's say you didn't have any fear, what would you do? And my response was, okay, but fear can protect you. Fear can be a good thing because that's where my brain went.
It was really fascinating because I'm like, if no barriers were in the way, what would you do? How would you spend your time? Like, if the fear was gone, and they're all like, I would get hurt again.
Yeah.
It wasn't just you, there were several of you.
Yeah.
I had to sit back and go, oh, that's really fascinating. The first thought is the anxiety actually is protecting me.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's pieces of this is all true. It's not a black or white situation.
Right.
But then I was like, excuse me, Rachel, if all the obstacles were removed, you'd be giving a TED talk this week. And she's like, oh yeah, good point.
True.
But it's a warning sign, but it's also a physical response. So when I've had anxiety, I've done those things, or I write things down. I really challenge my thought, because again, what comes first, the anxiety or the thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the thoughts come first. And
Right.
so we will trigger our own anxiety in a sense by going down a rabbit hole of thinking and, kind of taking a tailspin. And so if that's the case, then we want to take our thoughts captive and focus on what we can control, focus on what is good, focus on the here and now, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes our body's responding. We don't even really know why.
Right.
And so in that case, I recommend doing something. So in the cognitive behavioral model, you've got thoughts, behaviors, and feelings. Thoughts, feelings, behaviors, thoughts, feelings, actions. It's like a triangle. And you can impact that triangle with the thoughts, but you also can impact it with the actions. So going for a walk, or calling a friend, or, journaling, or whatever it might be to help you get out of your own head, essentially,
Yeah.
and start to.
Here's my question though.
Okay.
Because I've done that. But is it suppressing what your anxiety is trying to tell you? Like, it's me trying to get rid of that pain. I hate that pain of anxiety. And so doing something active, and this is a serious, like I'm legit asking, um, because doing an action can maybe suppress it for a while for me and get me a little bit further through the day. But I mean, really just pausing to listen to myself is what I need to possibly do.
Yeah, maybe the first action is journaling
Yeah.
and asking yourself those questions. I've had to give up coffee
Yeah.
at times
I'm
because
not there yet.
coffee, yeah, especially on an empty stomach, can
Mm.
increase anxiety, and it's like your body's responding, and that can be a physical action to take.
So I've been doing some studying on anxiety, like I said, and I've been reading about the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
And so and I talked about this before about how it kind of wraps around your stomach, I think, and when you inhale around your lungs really, really deep, you press that vagus nerve and it sends a good feeling throughout your body, calms you down. But from what I've been reading, that vagus nerve it starts up here and goes all through your body. And there's different ways that you can have a healthy vagus nerve and a not healthy vagus nerve, and that it will impact your amygdala, which is your fight or flight in your brain. And so doing certain things can actually impact your anxiety before it even happens. And one thing I did this morning, because I've been having anxiety the last few days, and I don't know if it added more anxiety or not, but I took a cold shower.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because I legit
that's the thing.
I need more control of my brain. I'm a lot better than I was, but I still have those intrusive thoughts and intrusive feelings, and I'm trying to strengthen that part of me. So I took a dang cold shower.
Yeah. That's if you guys have ever heard of Wim Hof kind of normalized the cold showers, and he's got a whole program, and it's geared towards helping you physically with anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, I was shivering and I'm like, this is going to help my anxiety.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
seriously, I mean, I want to impact like the voice of my anxiety, the spiritual side of things, as well as the physical side of things. I'm blurry. Sorry. There you go.
Still blurry. That's
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Okay.
It'll clear up randomly.
Okay. Anyway.
So the other piece of this is often when we feel anxiety, we think something's wrong with us, or we beat ourselves up and we have that shame, as you
Or
mentioned,
medicate.
or medicate without listening.
Mm-hmm.
And so normalizing anxiety as being just, this is a human emotion that is an important piece of it,
Yes.
uh, can help with taking the time to listen, you think?
I do think. Not saying medication is not necessary for some people. I mean, I believe in medication whenever it's needed, but we go to the doctor to ask about our anxiety, and really their only answer for you is medication. I mean, if they're not there to be able to be a therapist or a psychiatrist or really any of that stuff. It's like, well, the only answer I can give you for anxiety is this pill. And we take it because we're desperate. We need rest. We need to calm down. We need to function. And I get it. I've been there. But I was also at the place where I was angry and shaming the anxiety because I felt like it was only causing me more issues. And I really just wasn't giving it a chance to be a part of who I am, just kind of collaborating all the pieces of my heart and using it all together to function in the way that Rachel's supposed to.
I was thinking, I'm still contemplating your action answer question.
Okay.
So what about this? What if, because I wonder how helpful it would be to journal if you're in the midst of a panic attack or you're in the midst of high emotion, right? It might be an idea to take action, calm yourself down a bit, and
Mhm.
then journal. So
Yeah.
I think that as long as we're not forgetting to try to figure out that root and get to the kind of the bottom of it, whether you're journaling first or taking an action step first to decrease your anxiety. I think either way.
Either way, as long as, yeah, you're getting to that root. Because I think those who don't know how to calm their anxiety are those who were a child using their voice and nobody listened, you know? And so they learned that my voice doesn't matter, my feelings don't matter. I need to quiet my feelings because they're only going to get me in trouble.
Mm. Tell me about a time when you listened to your anxiety, and can you identify a time where you were like, I am glad that I listened or I asked?
Let me think. There were times when I can think of that I didn't listen to my anxiety and I wish I would have. Um, I'm struggling to think of an exact time when I did listen and it turned because isn't that sad? You forget those.
Yeah.
Because there was not a big impact, you know, everything remained safe. It's the ones where you didn't listen and you ended up in a super uncomfortable or scary situation. And I can remember those. Um, what about you?
Yeah. So there's a couple times when I would feel anxious or like, well, mostly about jobs or, working or where I was. And I was like, this isn't it anymore. This isn't what I want to be doing. But I recently had maybe a month where my anxiety was high.
Yeah.
And it was because I'm kind of busting through my own glass ceiling. And I really had to decipher, should I not be hiring this person? Should I not be growing in this way? Is this anxiety trying to tell me something? Like, is this a gut reaction saying, don't go in that direction? Or is this just fear because I've never done that before? And
Right.
I'm kind of expanding in a way. And so when I did all of these questions, and when I got down to the root of it, it was like, if I don't keep growing my business, Stop Sis, all these things that we're like doing that's new and
Mm-hmm.
a bit scary because we don't know what we're doing half the time. I mean, that's not true, but you know what I mean. Like it's new. And so anyway, I got to the place where I said, if I don't keep expanding, my soul will die.
Hmm.
So I declared that anxiety was me growing a new comfort
Yeah.
zone.
It's growing pains.
Yes. And after I said yes to these new hires for my business, and now I'm creating a new program, like all of a sudden alignment again.
So I think it's super powerful to hear you say it took a month.
Yeah.
And you are one of the healthiest individuals I know, and it took a month. And so, you know, when we go into day 3, day 4, and we start to shame ourselves, and then we start to spiral,
Yeah.
tell yourself that's normal.
Yeah. I also find I could get anxious and I can't sleep if I am keeping a secret,
Mm.
or if I feel like I'm like white lied, like I didn't quite say the whole truth. So part of the anxiety I was feeling was that I didn't quite tell Brandon that I wanted to make these hires. I was like, I think I don't know. And so I like was wrestling with myself and chatting with friends by the pool. And I was like, I gotta go just tell him right now. And so I went in and I was like, Brandon, I have to tell you something. I want to hire someone. And he was like, do it. Cool. Whatever. Anyway, so I've learned that if I have anxiety or if I'm not sleeping well, there's typically something like that I need to just come clean or be truly radically honest about, because that's a warning sign for me too.
And so in that way, the anxiety is a good thing
Yeah.
because that's why psychopaths don't have it. They don't
Yeah.
have that in them saying you need to make this right.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That is really interesting because, again, what if we just tried to pretend like it didn't exist, or we tried to stuff it down, or we didn't actually ask it those questions? Like, what are you trying to tell me right now?
Right. So I think one of the coolest things for me where I can't, of course, think of my own memory of one, but my oldest son, has anxiety. And he has for several years. And it's to the point where, like, I mean, everybody around him knows he has anxiety. It's pretty severe. And so we went to counseling and we talked about anxiety, and he was able to tell the counselor exactly when he has it, why he has it, what it feels like, what triggers it, all those things. And the counselor was like, wow, like he's really got the words to be able to describe this. A lot of adults can't even describe their anxiety. And I said, well, we talk about it like it's normal. And it's funny because I mean, he would go and introduce himself to somebody and, hi, I'm Levi. I have asthma and I have anxiety. It's like, and it's just literally that normal for him to be able to say, hey, I have anxiety. And I love it because it's true. It is normal. And he still has it, but he doesn't struggle with it as much. He listens to it and he can calm it down. So, for example, he knows in his brain if the anxiety is logical or not, for the most part. So, going to school, he started a brand new middle school. He was terrified. I mean, it's a huge school. And for the whole first week, this kid would walk into that school with tears streaming down his face. And that was his anxiety. And he told me as soon as he walked into the door, he was fine. It was okay. But all the way up until that door, he had tears going down his face. And I didn't say, buck up, son. Like, you need to get it together. This is ridiculous. No, I was like, you are the strongest kid I know because that hurts. I know anxiety hurts, but you're doing it anyway because you know it's best for you. And the fact that I don't shame him for it means he won't shame himself for it, but he can handle it now.
Yeah. He can talk to the anxiety and talk it down and say, is this something to be scared of right now?
Yes.
I can be okay. He can use all of those skills that we teach adults that
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And I'm just so dang proud of him. And truthfully, when you do the, what is it, immersion therapy, that's not it.
Yeah, like like if you are afraid of an elevator and so you go and you practice going in an
Yes.
elevator. Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes you stronger and stronger. When you know it's a logical fear. Now, if jumping off the Empire State Building, don't immerse yourself in that, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I think this is again, this is just a really interesting conversation for us to process. How do we handle anxiety when we are safe? And then how do we listen to anxiety when it's trying to tell us something?
right. Yep. And I've researched where they talk about, certain hand movements, rubbing your hands back and forth, tapping. When you're out in public, you maybe don't want people to see you tapping. And so that you can try to think of other ways. Um, when I was at the eating disorder facility, we all had putty. We were all using putty. Um, but there's certain spots in your body that God gives us to calm down our anxiety to where we can listen to it, to where it's not shouting at us anymore. And so maybe that is the action. It's not so much to quiet it, but to calm it to where you can hear what it's saying.
I think that's a great place to stop.
Okay.
We'll make a little quote on that one. Yeah, I think it's fascinating, and I appreciate your wisdom and things that you've been learning and through your research over the last little bit here. But you guys, we want to hear from you too. So, what are your thoughts about anxiety? What do you do to calm it? How do you decipher if this is a growing pain anxiety or if it's a pivoting anxiety that's saying, "Hey, run in the last direction," or run in the opposite direction? Because I know even with you recently did an Instagram reel on this about the hyper anxiety. We can live hyper anxious and that's no place to be either. So really gaining some of that power back to listen to it when it's guiding you, but also knowing how to calm its voice so you can still continue to thrive and grow.
Yes. Amen.
Amen. All right, you guys,
Another
thank
step.
you so much for being here and being a part of our community. Please be sure to You can donate if you want to sponsor one of the survivors that are in their upcoming cohort through the GoFundMe link in the description. You can check out Rachel's book in the description. You can check out the podcast we did all about her story in the description as well. So definitely don't forget the description. There's a lot of cool stuff down there. And if you're interested in being a part of 90 Day U-Turn, to have a community to wrestle with some of these questions and practice some of these skills with, then join the waiting list. We'd love to reach out and connect with you.
Yes.
So have an awesome day, you guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to this powerful episode of Stop Suffering in Silence. If you are interested in booking Rachel to speak at your school, your church, or on your podcast, then please email openblindeyes@protonmail.com. If you are interested in sponsoring a survivor on their healing journey and would like to donate to Stop Sis, then please check out the link in the description box or show notes below, or you can email stopsis@protonmail.com. And finally, if you are currently suffering in silence, or you know somebody who is, whether they're dealing with a current trauma or one from the past, then we will always recommend that you reach out to your local resources and find a counselor that you can trust, because nobody is meant to suffer alone. Have an amazing week, and thank you for being here.